The other day, I was looking back at the list of hundreds of YouTube channels I'm subscribed to. There were a plethora of categories: thought-provoking video essays, gaming highlights, musicians, but there was something that kept popping up throughout: the second channels. On YouTube, and especially at this point, having a second channel is practically implied. If you're a YouTuber, you have a second channel, or even many. But what invokes the need for a second channel? And what does it mean to have one anyway? Before exploring the unique reasons that any given creator would have for starting a second channel, the baseline ease of making a new channel has to be established. In general, opening a second channel is inherently intuitive. YouTube is a space for individuals to explore and share their own interests with others. Individuals in general have multiple interests. But why do YouTubers separate their channels instead of putting all their interests in one? Well, it's the same reason we separate our own interests in real life. In a perfect world, any given person would be interested in their job, something that would give them exercise, maybe food preparation, and other activities akin to hobbies. Except for some unique cases, we don't typically cross over our interests. We'll work for a majority of the day, then switch to a sport, and then again to a hobby. They just automatically happen one by one. Very much in the same vein, when YouTubers have multiple interests that they want to express online, they'll switch between different channels to do so. Before even reaching a thought of what will my audience think, or what's best for my channel, YouTubers will create these separations of interests. Of course, people don't always make a second channel for the sake of delving into a separate interest from the main. People will make clip channels using content from the main, VOD channels containing content that could later on go to the main, and even collaboration channels to explore the same content as the main with new people's perspectives. It would be redundant to keep mentioning different types, but it seems like second channels usually boil down into two categories. There's no better example of this than where second channels all started: Smosh. I'm not going to explain what Smosh is to the uninitiated, and I'm not even going to pretend that I know much about them because I couldn't even walk before their channel gained popularity. But the premise is that Smosh started as a skit and homemade music video channel, a clearly comedy-based interest behind the project. A staggering 4 months later, Ian Hecox of the Smosh channel uploaded his first non-Smosh video on a second channel, then known as Ian H. Initially, it appears that the account is a personal channel for one of two members of the original Smosh channel. In theory, a personal channel would be a more free-form venture for Ian outside of the skit channel to make whatever, no longer limited by the genre of a particular channel. In some ways, this was the case. Ian and Anthony wanted to produce vlogs that wouldn't fit on Smosh, and thus uploaded them to a second channel. One could say that Ian H was an escape channel, a place where the duo could upload content when they didn't feel like making comedy videos, a different interest at play. However, the reality is that Ian H was an extension of Smosh, the channel later being renamed to Smosh Second Channel, and once again being a host of comedy content. Despite the vast depths of various forms of second, third, fourth, or many YouTube channels, it's clear that they can generally be broken down into two basic forms. Any given YouTuber will make an additional channel as either an extension or an escape. An extension channel is fairly straightforward. It increases the reach and depth of the type of content that was already being created on the main channel. An escape channel deliberately deviates from the main content that a YouTuber would typically create to pursue a distinctly different interest or type of content, and this comes in many forms. Schlatt is an interesting case because he utilizes both types. Projects like Chuckle Sandwich or Sleep Deprived are perfect examples of extension channels. Sure, they can be different in medium compared to the main content, but the core idea is that the channels are extensions of the Schlatt character. On the flip side, Schlatt's COD commentary channel is in all respects an escape. Not only is the content no longer in the typical Schlatt persona, but the tone has completely changed, and the entire motivation behind the channel is different. Second channels aren't always that black and white though. Whether or not one is an escape or an extension heavily depends on the main. In Smosh's case, Smosh Second Channel, now known as Smosh Pit, is most certainly an extension channel because the same type of content is being made between the two channels. This is one of the key factors. The tone is comedic, the quality is consistent between the two, and the primary vibes don't change much. It's important to understand that a YouTuber may have both extension and escape channels, but they cannot have one channel that is both. An extension channel is made for the sake of continuing main channel content, perhaps even in a different form, but an escape channel leaves the main behind for the sake of actually making different content. Determining a type of content to be a continuation of the main or a different thing is very subjective, but oftentimes a creator will announce the motive, removing all nuance. Now that we've established the differences, we have to understand the different reasons behind why someone would want to split their content into two channels. Schlatt is perhaps the most versatile comedy YouTuber on the platform right now. stealing the show from every video and live stream he's featured in, and building a genius marketing strategy. There's really nothing more to mention that hasn't already been said. But despite having already inspired multiple creators by his channel The Weekly Slap, he's not really known for it. Of course, most Schlatt fans have heard of the channel, but I think it speaks volumes how separated it is from the Schlatt character, which of course is all intentional. The Weekly Slap is a more introspective focused channel that dives into Schlatt's personal life as well as provides advice to viewers. By about the third tribute video Schlatt made on the original J Schlatt channel, there exists a mix between comedic and serious tones. A few months after the creation of the Weekly Slap, Schlatt explains this phenomenon.
Notice that after I release a funny video, I will want to make something more meaningful, something that makes you stop and think for a bit. And whenever I release something like that, I will want to make something more comedic and more lighthearted.
This was perfectly complemented in some cases by videos like A Tribute to Minecraft, which incorporate both elements, though Schlatt would categorize the project as something more meaningful. That same year, Schlatt would come to bring more focus to comedy through SMP Live, while still keeping up with his more serious side on the Weekly Slap. It's clear that this balance of funny content and meaningful content was initially found through splitting his ideas into J Schlatt Live and the Weekly Slap, and it shows how important a second channel can be to a YouTuber's fulfillment. YouTubers often start producing content on this platform for the sake of exploring their interests and carving out a niche within a niche to some extent, and every video released is another notch of creative fulfillment. It's a funny thing with creativity though. At some point, you can get burnt out, or perhaps YouTube can fulfill your creativity in a variety of ways, and when those paths are different enough from each other, they're split into separate channels. In this case, Schlatt was fulfilled through both comedy and sharing a more personal side. Schlatt had two main purposes for making content, and used the second channel as a way to escape from the persona and reach overall fulfillment. Has been a bit of an enigma in the past few years. Before opening his second channel, he had just started grinding and uploading outstanding projects with next to no insight given to his audience on the side. With no vlogs or commentaries, he would continue uploading fascinating videos with no core theme across his uploads. Astute viewers would know that Emp has a philosophy as follows: your job as a YouTuber is not to give the people what they want, but rather it's to give the people what they don't know they want. Regardless, this level of intentional disconnection from the audience seemed to grate on him, and he'd eventually come to miss the interaction with his audience. This is the precise reason he'd come to open a genuine second channel.
The parts I enjoy, interacting with a smaller, more comfy audience once again. It's sort of these things I lost touch with.
This concept of desiring what once was may seem like just a factor of reflecting on your progress, but in a YouTuber's case, small channels do have somewhat different mechanics compared to larger channels. It makes total sense why someone would desire to have a bit of both, and it can be understood through Emp's wording on this exact feeling.
I hit 1 million subs last year on my main channel. Sort of felt like I prestiged, you know? So now I'm starting a new channel.
In 2022, Emplemon hit 1 million subscribers, which finally tipped him over the edge on the topic of stretching his reach into other projects. He described this feeling as though he prestiged. In short, prestiging in a game is like restarting without restarting. Typically, it would mean the death of every stat you gained, but it allows you to play the game from a fresh perspective. Similarly, when someone creates a new channel without bringing in some pre-existing audience, they're starting completely from zero. No subscribers, no views, no videos. But the reason Emp started Downward Diary wasn't because he wanted to build another massively successful YouTube channel, prestige so he can do it all again. It also wasn't really an extension channel for more Emplemon style content, as he had his first additional channel, Emperor Lime, for that. The goal was once again to reach that fun, new YouTuber feeling of collecting a smaller audience and opening up a dialogue with them. Through the use of a second channel, Emp can have his cake and eat it too. He has the ability to create meaningful projects and get revenue on his main account, while allocating some of his free time to open up discussion about news and general grievances on another. This need for duality of content had been seen as far back in Emp's channel as 2018, with a vlog-style entry coming in at about an hour discussing topics much in the same vein as what Downward Diary is today. Second channels don't need to be some extravagant bonus project or buffer to some non-existent YouTube resume. They can often be a chance to get back down to basics and enjoy an easier form of content. In a medium like Downward Diary, there's no major editing or focus required. You can just kind of relax and throw a few opinions up on YouTube. It's fascinating that some YouTubers will want nothing to do with the platform in their free time, while others choose to use it for fun as long as it's on a second channel. Emplemon's use of Downward Diary as an escape is perhaps the most common type of second channel seen across major YouTubers with highly involved commentary mains. The ability to utilize a more free-form medium of a discussion has especially drawn many to podcasting. Emplemon had stated to YouTube, Pyrocynical has TBH, Wendigoon has the Weird Bible podcast, and I could probably name a dozen more. Second channels are often an escape from content even if the character or presence is the same. Similar to JSchlatt, an outlet to express emotion and opinion outside of a more professional medium is exactly what a second channel is for. Thus far, I've explained why someone would create a second channel, but I haven't elaborated on the path to keeping up with it. You see creator after creator wanting to do something great on a new channel, only to leave it in the dust a month later. Meatcanyon is an animation channel on YouTube known for creating cartoons that have dark or disturbing tones. Meat has been a unique case for second channels in many regards, but the main thing to cover is intention versus outcome. Now, you'll often see main channels change the course of their content over time. Not intending on keeping up with the previous content, they just upload their new stuff on the same channel to replace it. With second channels, as far as I've seen, the content doesn't really change much. I mean, if it's a personal channel, of course pretty much anything could be uploaded at any given time, but the actual scope of the channel doesn't typically change where it may on the main. This channel is for personal stuff, that channel is for reaction videos, etc. But Meatcanyon's Papa Meat channel was originally going to be behind the scenes clips and extras from the main account, an active extension channel, very akin to Dream's process in his peak popularity, with main channel uploads accompanied by extra scenes on Dream XD. Again, this concept is very much a co-op with the original Meatcanyon premise. By around the 2022 new year, the extras idea had been nearly exterminated, forming an entirely different category, commentaries. It had transformed into an escape channel, and while the intention was extras, the outcome was a wildly successful commentary project. Meatcanyon is one of those prime examples of how quickly the concept behind a channel can change, especially extending to second channels. A piece of intention versus outcome that seems to often be left out is how to handle pre-existing channels. The original intention of a channel is often easy to overlook when considering the change of it. In some cases, YouTubers will form a second channel early on and even garner a large audience behind it. When that channel has been dormant for some time, or the creator just wants to reskin it for a new purpose, the audience is still left behind. The original intention behind a channel is vital to whether or not a YouTuber should exploit it for a new purpose. If the original reason people subscribe to a channel is too far removed from the YouTuber's new intentions, then not only will people slowly unsubscribe over time, creating a grueling mental state for the creator, but they'll get people actively dissing the new content and requesting the old stuff. Sure, it's incredibly annoying for the YouTuber to have a channel with a major audience that can no longer be used, but it's certainly better than force-feeding people content only for them to slowly grow in resentment. In Meatcanyon's case, most of the people who subscribed to Papa Meat were already looking for more of the creator behind the original channel. Though some subscribers may have left once the animation snippets became fewer and farther between, Meat was able to build a huge audience off of the channel as he established the course it would take fairly early on. Intention is a tricky concept to tiptoe around in terms of second channels, so they shouldn't be neglected when considering major changes with a considerable pre-existing audience in play. Mr. Beast is one of those YouTube geniuses that comes around once in a blue moon, being able to somehow birth a channel entirely out of variety. Now initially, I wanted to end the video in some notion of the unifier or enigma Mr. Beast is, generating swaths of variety over the course of his run on YouTube, keeping it all on the same channel. But this isn't true. His main channel certainly is impressive in the forms it's adapted and grown, birthing out of simply making true variety content, and again being able to grow from it. But it just has to be noted the second channel's evolution that have grown up beside his main content. Not only did he learn from making experimental second channels early on, like We Talk Over Games with His Friends, or Mr. Beast 5998 to troll, but second channels are in fact a major part of how he's expanded his brand modern day. Extension channels like Gaming, Reacts, and even 2 for other projects he's launched, but also the various non-English renditions of his content that bring videos to an entirely new audience. He's not simply some monolith who only grew and learned based on one key channel project. Though there are creators out there who fit that bill, the biggest creator in the world, and most creators out there, simply don't. It took him years to figure out how YouTube worked and his place in the madness, and throughout it all, second channels were there, each step of the way. It's worth mentioning what this original segment was leading towards though, the hardened strength of building an audience on one channel after so many changes, building fans who are with you through thick and thin. One reason Mr. Beast is important to the second channel equation is because of those optics. If you work hard enough, maybe uploading all sorts of different content to your main channel will be beneficial in the long run. It will undoubtedly take much longer to grow, but by the time you're a massive YouTuber, you can upload almost anything to your channel and it'll garner mass attention. Not that that's how you should treat it. Another great example is Johnny Razor, who saw a massive come up with shorts. Though he was typically known for bad ideas, he'll upload Would You Rathers, stories, and other various topics to commentate about, and the views are still fairly consistent. Most people want to be a YouTuber because it seems alluring that you could play games games for a living or follow your passion as a job. But time and time again, people have stayed a YouTuber because of the options that their job entails. Perhaps building a channel on a niche is the way up the ladder, but building a channel on variety is the climb up the mountain. On the ladder, you've climbed up to the top very quickly and you didn't have to do too much work. But by the end of the journey, you've really only learned how to climb ladders. Climbing the mountain takes significantly more time and skill, but once you've reached the top, it's that much more rewarding. To have or not to have a second channel is a very conscious choice that can't be decided by the flip of a coin. It's something that depends on the platitudes of factors. What brings you joy, and do you want to express yourself multiple ways online? Is it a business opportunity to open multiple channels, or perhaps a way of offsetting the workload of a primary one? Do you want to focus on consistent content to one channel and commit to improvement, or will you fracture your reach into different operations? The reason that this video is structured as a list of different examples of creators is because there's no factual way to determine whether or not a YouTuber should create a second channel. It's all a personal decision depending on what makes sense for the direction of their content, and oftentimes if they even have the willpower to do so. Originally, the twist of this video was that I wanted to prove I could escape the pigeonhole of content and thus not actually make my own second channel to house this new subject of videos, leave it all in my main. I thought it would be poetic. Regretfully, LumiBin is a separate channel to that plan, so all I have to say is it's a real wild world out there, and life's too short to be spent contemplating whether you should create a second channel.